We tend to view extreme intelligence through the lens of a cultural archetype, the effortless genius. We imagine a student who breezes through exams and masters complex systems while everyone else struggles, assuming that a high IQ makes life inherently simple. To test this assumption, look at a logic puzzle described by psychologist John L. Horn. Imagine a hospital with 100 patients. An even number are one-legged, and they all wear shoes. Exactly half of the remaining patients are barefoot. How many shoes are being worn? Most adults reach for high school algebra to find the answer, but a highly intelligent child can solve this by intuiting the underlying ratio. If half the two-legged people are barefoot and the rest have one leg and one shoe, the shoes must average out to exactly one per person. The answer is 100. Society often mistakes this cognitive efficiency for total competence. We see the speed of the solution and ignore the psychological gaps it creates, leaving the individual with a hidden vulnerability that standard tests never capture. External success rarely mirrors the internal experience of the outlier mind. These individuals are statistically more prone to emotional isolation and anxiety, often grappling with complex existential questions long before their peers. This disconnect exists because our metrics for intelligence focus almost entirely on processing power. We measure the output of the machine, but we rarely account for what it actually feels like to be the operator. To understand the reality of high intelligence, we have to move past the scores and deconstruct the dual-engine architecture that powers the outlier mind. In 1943, psychologist Raymond Cattell realized that general intelligence was actually a partnership between two distinct systems. He defined the first as fluid intelligence, or GF. This is the raw, intuitive ability to solve novel problems without prior training. It's powered by the brain's dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and governs our ability to see patterns in chaos. The second system is Crystallized Intelligence, or GC. This is the library of knowledge, vocabulary, and cultural data stored in the hippocampus. It's the application of everything you've already learned to the world around you. These systems follow different timelines. Fluid intelligence typically peaks around age 27 and then begins a gradual decline. Crystallized intelligence, however, continues to grow throughout adulthood as we accumulate more experience. This chronological intersection creates a psychological trap. In youth, high fluid intelligence is so dominant that it masks a growing lack of practical resilience. Because profoundly smart young people can intuit their way through school, they rarely encounter a challenge that requires significant effort. They are effectively playing the game on a difficulty setting that is too low to force growth. This leads to a behavioral deficit. If you never have to struggle to succeed, you never cultivate the actual practical skill of trying. Eventually, these individuals hit an adult obstacle that raw intuition cannot bypass. Without a history of effort to fall back on, the result is often a sudden and paralyzing sense of failure. Early cognitive advantage paradoxically builds a foundation of psychological fragility. When effort is optional in childhood, discipline becomes a missing tool in adulthood. As crystallized intelligence grows, it forces a shift in how the brain perceives the mundane surroundings of everyday life. Where an average mind sees a simple street lamp, an outlier mind registers a manufacturing history, an electrical grid, and a global supply chain. Every object is a node in a massive, interconnected system. This inability to see things in isolation makes the world feel heavy and uncontrollable. When a child can see the fragility of a city's power grid just by looking at a light, they experience a profound sense of dread, a realization of how small they are within these looming, complex systems. Higher intelligence reveals a depth of complexity that most people can comfortably ignore, turning a simple walk down the street into a confrontation with the scale of reality. While society demands binary, black and white answers, the highly intelligent mind is constantly distracted by nuance, hidden biases, and systemic flaws. Advanced thinkers must eventually learn to prioritize the updating of their beliefs over the protection of their egos. They have to accept that being wrong is simply a data point in the learning process. This leads to the ultimate metric of human intelligence, the capacity to tolerate ambiguity. Mastery is found in the ability to sit with a question that has no immediate answer. True cognitive development replaces the need for absolute certainty with intense intellectual humility. It fosters a curiosity that values the search more than the conclusion. Solving the outlier's paradox requires the emotional strength to navigate a world that offers no simple certainties. True intelligence is found in the resilience to stand comfortably in the center of the unknown.